This is Kenny, and he's a little bit wound up because we just did a little bit of work with the cat. And this is his roadmap to success. I'm going to talk about the cat stuff first because there's a lot of steps to it and it's freshest in my mind. So basically, the Guardians before had a different dog, and or a couple of Malteses, I guess. And those dogs, or there were a couple of cats, excuse me, and a Maltese, but the Maltese was a puppy. And so he grew up around cats and it was very normal. He did not have that. He was from a puppy mill in Korea. And so, remember, every time he touches with his teeth, yelp like that and retract and stop playing for a second. Okay, so basically he and the cat was, we just tried to do a little exercise and the cat was running around and that really worked him up. Dogs' eyes are very attracted to movement and they like to chase. So basically what we like to do is when I have a dog that doesn't know how to behave in a situation, I like to create a stage scenario or version of that activity where I can control the elements and I put the dog in a position to succeed by cheating and stacking the deck for the dog. So for him, what we could do is he's younger and he wants to run around and chase. Well, if he has that excess energy, that's going to make it difficult. So what I would do is I would recommend the Guardian take him out for like a 20 or 30 minute walk before she does this. And use the martingale, and remind me right after this, we'll do the tricks for the martingale. But after the walk, we come back inside. We're basically going to get a 4-foot chain leash, and we're going to wrap the leash around the leg of the TV and do it on this side, the side that's closest to your work desk, and run it through the handle, and then attach it to the dog's leash, and then you're going to sit down and watch a little TV or do a little bit of work or whatever it is. We want the dog to practice being tethered while the human's here and the cat is not present. There's nothing else going on. This is just normal operating business. So do this, and if he protests and barks a little bit, just ignore, and as soon as he stops protesting, then wait at least 5 seconds before you take him off of this. If he wants to chew on it, that's why we use a chain leash. So if he wants to chew on it, knock yourself out. You're not going to be able to chew through the metal. And we want to practice this at first for, just put it on him, and once he settles down, then take the leash off. And once he starts settling down right away, then we take the leash off maybe after 5 seconds after he settles down, then 10 seconds and 15. And every interval is going to be different. He might have to spend a week of doing 1 second intervals, whatever it is. Go at his pace until you can have him on this leash and he's tethered and he's calm and relaxed, because that's just normal. So when you do tether him, I would maybe give him a treat or give him a bully stick, something like that, so he can sit in there and chew. And there's a dog bed that right now all the toys are in, and you call it Africa or whatever you want to call it. Just do the same thing I did for this dog bed. And eventually he's just comfortable, and that's just normal for him to hang out there. Now the benefit of this is the way this room is shaped, the bedroom is over there, it's kind of an L-shaped house. And so this way, eventually what we're going to do is have the cat out here, and we'll be sitting here with the cat. The dog's only going to be able to make it to about this far because of the chain. So it can't get all the way to us. Now, what we want them to do is I want him to practice being calm around the cat, and want the cat to practice being calm around the dog. But the cat's going to be all freaked out about this. So what we want to do, the cat's hiding under the bed right now, and we don't want to force the cat. We want to set the cat up for success, and I'm going to give some advice about a cat, which I've never done before. What we wanted the cat to do is not to recognize every time the human picks me up now, she puts me in front of the dog, and I have to deal with this dog, and I'm stressed out about it. So what we want to do is go in the bedroom, which is where the cat has been hanging out. Pull out the cat, have it on your lap, pet it a little bit, make sure it's nice and calm, and let it go back to doing its own thing. So you're spending some quality time sitting on your bed or wherever it is, petting the cat. And each time we would like to elongate this a little bit more, until we get to the point where you can sit there for 5 or 10 minutes with the cat, just petting the cat, and mom likes to do that. Then the next step would be, once the cat is nice and settles like this, get up very casually and just do a circle around your bedroom. And then sit back down, pet the cat a little bit more. The cat's probably going to get a little bit nervous when you start walking towards the door, and keep the door closed, and the dog should not be in the room for this. And the dog has already practiced being out here tethered. And so it's used to you going back there and spending time in it. And hopefully we don't want it barking because that's going to stress out the cat. So once we get to the point where the dog is comfortable here because it's got the bully stick or the kneecap or the trachea or a chicken foot or some edible cow or animal part that he can chew on, we're back there getting the quality time with the cat. At first, just sitting on the bed, then walking a circle around there. And when the cat is completely relaxed walking that circle, then we're going to open the door and walk around the room with the door open and keep on repeating the process. But again, the dog is not present. And eventually we're going to walk in that circle, but then we're going to take one step out of the bedroom and then go right back and then go sit back down and pet and wait for the cat to relax, repeat it. And after the cat is completely relaxed for 1 step, then we go to 2 steps, 3 steps. Eventually we're walking around the dinner table, and walking back in there and then sitting down. And we're elongating, getting a little bit closer to the dog, but the dog is tethered and is hopefully preoccupied, and we set the dog up for success by exercising it first. So then eventually we'd like to be able to get to the point where mom can sit here on the couch, petting the cat. The dog could be sitting in the dog bed or it could be on the table, but it cannot get to the cat. So that cat has earned back, or the mom has earned back the cat's trust, saying, look, I'm not going to put you in a situation where you have to be around the dog. And the dog is nice and relaxed, it's not freaking out, which is going to make it easier. And then eventually we're just going to have them practice being in the same room together. Hopefully, eventually the cat will be able to get down and walk this way and walk around the dog's reach. And the dog eventually realizes, I can't get to where that cat is, and he'll stop protesting so much. I don't think he has a strong prey drive. I only saw a second or two of it, and the cat was freaking out. So not a good idea to do it with either animal freaking out. Now, the other thing I would do, the cat has its front claws, which makes it a lot easier. She's going to swipe him eventually one day, and he might get a little scratch. Now, we don't want to fight that because he could lose an eye, and she could get hurt. But what we want to recommend the guardian do is put a shelf about here, just a little shelf, maybe the size of like an 8-track tape, so that's how old I am. And then right up there over the lamp, I would put a triangle in the corner, about maybe 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches above the lamp. So big enough for the cat, a little perch for the cat to go to, so the cat can jump from here to up there. There's no way the dog can get up there. Now you might have to lure the cat up there by leaving kitty litter, or not kitty litter, catnip, or chicken liver. The treats I use, actually most cats like, because it's chicken liver. Cats love chicken liver. And eventually the cat gets perched where it gets to look down at the dog. For dogs, the higher their rank, the animal sits, the more rank or status they have. So that actually helps the cat have a little bit more status to the dog. And the cat is completely safe from the dog. And I would actually try to do that in other rooms in the house so the cat has a place. If the dog gets loose or decides to chase, the cat has a place it can escape to. Right now it can go into the bed, but the dog has recently discovered he can go into the bed too. And we just don't want to create a fight or any sort of problem. So now some dogs have such a strong prey drive, it's really hard for them to get around the cat. So sometimes and I recommend the guardian start leaving we talked about the kennel. She moves the kennel between by her work desk and her bedroom. But you might want to have them, the dog in the sleeping or hanging out in the bedroom in the kennel during the day. That way it kind of, hopefully, I would say chases the cat, but the cat egresses the room to get away from the dog, so it has more practice being out here. But it's sometimes a nice situation to put the dog in a kennel and have the cat in the room with the dog loose, but not where the cat can run away and hide. We want the cat to feel safe. But the idea is for the dog practice not reacting around the cat. And the kennel provides us with structure, so the dog knows it can't get to the cat, and the cat knows that as well. And so the cat eventually feels more confident about it and is more relaxed. And now the cat is practicing being calm around the dog. That's kind of what we're looking to do. We're going to have a little bit of dinglings while we finish this. That's okay. No, please don't stop it. Can you let that go to voicemail?
Yeah.
No? Okay, cool. Otherwise, I have to start this from scratch.
Yes.
All right. So now the rest of the session, what we did, we talked about things specifically for the dog. First thing we did was talk about increasing his exercise. He's not a super high energy dog. He doesn't need a ton of exercise, but I'd like to see him getting maybe 3 or 4 walks sprinkled throughout the day. I pulled out the laser. If he wasn't chasing it, but he was very interested, I'm guessing he probably will. So that could be another way to exercise him. I would also recommend getting like a retractable leash. I never recommend these now. I'm recommending a couple videos in a row. Well, what you do is attach the retractable leash to his collar. We're in an apartment complex. Go to this set of stairs. You're going to have to stay with me here, buddy. I know. Here, let's make this a little easier for you. And go to the set of stairs and touch his nose with the treat. Throw the treat to the bottom of the stairs. When he goes to the bottom of the stairs and licks it up, say a word like lobby. And then call him back up to you, and he's on the leash so he can't get away. And when he comes back to you, give him another treat and maybe call it penthouse. And the first time we do this with an empty stomach and throw the treats down and up until he stops coming up. He just lays down on the floor. He's like, oh, I'm wiped out. Count each down up as 1. And maybe for him it's 25. You might be able to do 25 down ups in like 4 minutes. That's a lot faster than taking a walk, and it's real convenient. So before we do anything with a cat, we want to put him in a position to succeed. And I think just in general, getting him little bouts of exercise, maybe every 3, 4, 5 hours is really going to help. For the leash. Now I have the martingale collar on the dog right now. I would probably not leave it on the dog on a regular basis. I'd probably leave it with the leash and only use this for the walk. Even though we talked in the video above about how to get your dog to put its hand in the harness, pause on the harness, the guardian probably is going to want to use this to walk him as opposed to that, because this is just going to give her a lot more control. Remember, put the small loop on the spine, attach it here, run it around his chest so it's a U shape behind both arms, so it's in both armpits. And when you go through it, always go through it towards his head, never towards his butt. Now remember, when you're walking on the walk, wrap it around the palm, the leash around the palm, or get a 4-foot leash so you don't have to wrap it so many times. And don't flex. When you were walking him, you had your arm bent like this, and I could see the muscle definition in your arms, because obviously the Guardian works out. But we want to keep it nice, relaxed, and loose. If the dog lags from behind, we let our arm go loose like a spaghetti noodle. We keep on walking. We don't stop. Otherwise, the dog thinks it's in control. The only time we correct is when the dog's chest moves in front of my torso. When I do that, I want to pull it up really quick and then go down even quicker. So we're taking the tension off the leash before we can activate the dog's opposition reflex. And you don't want to pull the dog's paws up, but the Guardian was going about like this fast when she needs to be going that fast, and go down faster than you go up. If he lags behind, like I said, do not pull, just let him go limp and keep on walking. Don't stop when he stops, otherwise he thinks he's controlling the walk. Now, like we also talked about outside, it's not healthy or fun for a dog to walk and not sniff. Sniffing is very stimulating for the dog. But the dog's nose controls 60% of its brain, and it can't think of multiple things at the same time. So what I'd like to do is give the dog a free time on each block, where I undo the leash around my wrist, and I keep it on the leash, but then I say free, and I let the dog sniff around. Potty is different. You want to let him potty where he wants to potty, unless he's marking a lot. But we want to give him a free zone where he spends 1 minute and he gets to sniff and lick and roll around and stuff, and we'll do whatever he wants to do. Then we get the leash not tense, but short leash, and we continue the walk. So each block he gets a little bit of free time for doing good. Otherwise, it's just not any fun or stimulating for the dog. Okay, so that's, I'm trying to think what else. Those are the kind of the rules for a structured walk. If you have questions about that, make sure you let me know. We also talked about enforcing rules and I went over the escalating consequences. I actually only went over one. I'll go over them now here. First one is to hiss one time with matching the dog's energy level. So I have a level 1 hiss, like, and I have a level 10 hiss, which is more like, so you see I got a response from him. So we want, just like us, I can say no to somebody, or I can yell no at someone. Now, I hiss when I want to say no, don't do that, or most effectively, don't even think about doing that. That's the most effective before they do the wrong thing. Once he's doing the wrong thing, don't hiss at him, and only hiss one time per incident. If you hiss, he'll stop listening for it. So the first thing I do is I hiss. Second thing I do when I want to disagree with the dog is I abruptly stand up. When to a dog, standing up is your business position. And when you stand up, your authority goes whatever direction your hips or your belly button is pointing. Now I'm going to pantomime a little bit over here, so just follow me at the camera. You can stay seated. So basically, if I stand up casually, the dog's just going to think he's just standing up, because dogs meander around. When dogs communicate through movement, they do it through a singular, bold, sudden, over-dramatic movement. So you want to stand up abruptly and then turn to face the dog. Now, when you do this, what the dog generally does is takes a step backwards. Because when you stand up, you're now in an action position and the dog is not. So it wants what I call escapability. It takes a step back, so if you try to snatch me, I can run around. And remember, no more snatching. The Guardian has done some snatching, which is why he doesn't want to come to her. She broke his trust a little bit, but passive training will fix that. So once the dog takes a step backwards, then it's going to walk around and see, are you talking to me? And if the dog walks that way and I keep facing this way, it literally walked away from my authority. So once the dog walks around, I'm going to pivot and keep that dog in front of me until the dog tells me it's done challenging me. And it'll do that by standing still or sitting or laying down. As soon as it does one of those things, let's say it sits right here, I want to tell the dog that you just did what I wanted. And I tell the dog that, I communicate that by taking 2 steps backwards. Now, when I tell a lot of my clients to take 2 steps backwards, they take 2 steps backwards like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Wonder Woman. That looks like a meandering. So when you step back, it's boom, boom, and then freeze. That's like putting a period at the end of the sentence. So the second escalating consequence is to stand up abruptly, turn to face the dog, and keep that dog in front of you without moving your feet till it stands, sits, or lies down. Then take 2 steps backwards only and pause for 1 second. Then you can go back to doing what you're doing. However, if what you were doing was sitting down, when you sit, you lose some authority. So don't sit all the way deep in the couch. Sit on the edge of the couch, and you should expect the dog to come back and challenge again. When he does, you stand up again. That's the second escalating consequence. The third escalating consequence is to rush directly at the dog. Front facing is confrontational, sideways is approachable. So if you march at me and I'm a dog and I back up a mile, but I'm still facing you, I'm still challenging. As a dog, I'm going to communicate to you, I understand what you're saying, when I turn sideways or greater away from you. So as soon as the dog turns sideways, you want to stop immediately. Remember, you have 3 seconds to correct or reward your dog. So as soon as it turns sideways, you have to stop to tell the dog, because you stop, when your dog turns sideways, it's saying, I'm challenging you less. So we need to stop to let the dog know, hey, I appreciate that. Then we move down the line to the second consequence, and then as the dog moves around, we pivot, dog stationary, take those 2 steps backwards, go to the second consequence. The only time this wouldn't apply is if the dog is already breaking a rule. Let's say as a dog, I'm not supposed to be on, let's say the line is behind me, and you march at me and I turn sideways, but I'm still supposed to be on that side of the line that's behind me. You would ignore me and walk into me and bump into me until I cross the line. Now, as a dog, I'm going to try to go this way and go around. So you would take a step to the side and step to the side. And if it continues, I step to the side and forward. So the more the dog challenges me, the further away it gets pushed back. And one other thing is I'd like the guardian to get in the habit of not walking around Kenny. Kenny's standing in your way. Walk through him as if he's not there. Now, we don't want to injure him. But if we move really slow or while walk around him, that's one of the ways we tell him, you have more authority than me. I'm moving around you versus you asking you to move around me. And we need him to adopt more of a follower's mindset. All right, so to use those escalating consequences is a great way to let the dog know what's coming next. And so the dog starts, you can monitor the dog and the dog starts staring at the cat. I wasn't doing anything. So again, you warn them before they get in trouble. All right, now we also went over passive training. Well, some of the other rules we went over is not being allowed on this area around the table, this L shape, when the guardian's eating here. You can use those escalating consequences to do that. Hissing when the dog approaches, marching towards the dog. But I also I like to be completely force-free. So if the dog's over here, the first thing I would do before I'm eating here is I might touch the dog's nose with the treat and then throw it outside of this L-shaped area. When he goes over and licks it up, I would say the word out. So now I create a vocabulary word. Out means to leave the area. So eventually when I sit down with my food and I say out, the dog now knows what it means. Or you can tell him to go to one of his dog beds. I don't really want to necessarily tell him to go one specific place. I just don't want you to be here. But I don't want to tell you have to be there. You can be there, in your kennel, over there, the dog bed. There's a lot of dog beds around here. And so that would be another rule. Also, make the dog sit before you go through a door. Go to the door and say sit. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, walk away. Turn the TV on, wait 1 minute, ask Alexa for a 60-second timer, then repeat. And next time you wait for 2 minutes, then for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes. So each time
starting now.
Each time the dog the dog doesn't do what you want it to do, it has to wait twice as long before it gets another opportunity to do that. Let me see. And do that for sitting to go into the elevator, sitting to go out of your building, sitting to get in the car, anywhere. Every time you cross the street, ask the dog to sit. And make sure at first you have a lot of treats. I think I'm going to leave the guardian. I think she wants to get my little training pouch. And so have that with you. You got to stay with me for this video. It's cuter when you're with me. Here, I'll give you another treat as a reward. That's a pretty good deal, right? I'd say it in Korean, but I don't know. My Korean's pretty spotty. So basically, the idea is have that training pouch with you, and every time when you go to the elevator, tell him to sit. As soon as he sits, give him the treat and say sit. So after a while, he'll just go sit in front of the elevator, anticipating getting that treat. But there's nothing wrong with using a lot of reinforcement initially, just to help the dog understand what's going on. All right. Now we also talked about petting with a purpose and passive training. These are the 2 easiest things that you can do that will have the biggest work in marketing here, or advertising here. It will have the biggest ROI of anything else we're doing. Thank you, Alexa. So basically, petting with a purpose. Alexa, stop timer. Thank you. All right, so petting with a purpose. When he comes up right now, he comes up and climbs on top of his guardian. That's why one of the rules was, I forgot, not being allowed on the furniture. Remember, throw the treat off and say, off, so we create that vocabulary. Let me see. And if he gets up, starts jumping up there, you might want to get an X mat, the letter X, an M-A-T. And you can leave that there. He won't want to get up there with an X mat there. Okay, so for petting with a purpose, if he comes in, if we take away the furniture, he's not going to be able to climb on top of his guardian, which is kind of an indication he does not respect her as an authority figure. And she loves him and she pets him, but anything your dog's doing when you pet it is what you're reinforcing. So if he jumps up on you and you pet him, you're saying, I like it when you pet. Jumping up on me is a great way to ask me to get pets. So instead, when he jumps up on you, tell him to sit. If he sits within 3 seconds, reach over, pet him under his chin, and say the word sit, and only the word sit. Don't say good boy or good sit, or you're such a smart dog, you sat down. Just say sit. And also don't say sit, because 2 dogs sit and sit are different words. It's harder for him. Now, if he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, I would lean back, and watch TV or check your phone or do whatever you're doing. And no matter how much he barks, do not look at him or react to him at all, because that's what he wants as a response. After he stops barking, if you wanted to give him another opportunity, wait at least 5 seconds after the barking stops and then say, sit. If he sits, then pet him on his chin, say sit. If he doesn't, then just lean back. So you're just saying the only way that I'm going to pet you from now on is if you do the smallest thing you possibly do as a dog and sit, as when he's initiating contact from you. But I'd like you to also get in the habit of only, if you want to pet him, he's not demanding attention, still ask him to sit. If he's already sitting, ask him to sit over here or lay down. Now, after a while, what will happen is he'll come start sitting in front of you to prepay for attention. Say, look, I'm offering you desired behavior. This is the thing you seem to like. And make sure you do recognize and pet him and say the word sit when he does it, when he offers it on his own. Now, that's him trying to influence you. We call that becoming operant or social manding. Well, the other side of this coin is what I call passive training. Passive training is waiting for the dog to do something organically on their own, recognizing them within 3 seconds and petting or rewarding them with a treat. So if every time, right now, he's come to the guardian and she snatched him to put him in the harness and she's broken the trust. Well, so now every time he comes to her, when there's no harness and he doesn't have any baggage, he doesn't think you're trying to trick me, just pet him and say, come. Even if he's just walking by, as he walks by, pet him and say, come as he goes by. Well, now, come just means go to her and get a little reward. I like the reward, and she's not snatching me anymore, so sure, I'll come to her. Every time he sits next to you, pet him and say, sit. I asked what his command was for laying down. He's so young with her, she doesn't have one. Use fun command words. I call it crash. Some of my clients call it chill. Some people say slide, whatever you want to say. But if you say chill and your dog lays down, your friends will laugh and that will motivate your dog. So come up with a funny command word. So every time he lays down next to you, pet him, reach over, pet him and say chill. After a while, you say chill and he'll lay down anticipating getting that reward. Let me see. We also talked about feeding time. So for feeding time, go put food in his bowl. Don't let him have access to it. Use the escalating consequence we talked about earlier. And then you need to eat something first. 5 bites of a chip, cracker, preferably something crunchy, but smoothie and coffee do not count. They have to be a solid food. And then once you get done, then give him permission to eat. And maybe if you like eating sushi, maybe call sushi, that's his command word. Come up with something fun. So every time for 2 months or 3 months, he takes his first bite of food, he hears the word sushi when there's food in his mouth. After a while, sushi will mean time to eat dinner. Now, if he walks over his bowl and he, I'm not hungry, and he walks away, as soon as he walks more than 3 feet away, pick up his bowl, dump it empty, put the empty bowl back down. I know. 99% of the time, the dog will lick the empty bowl. I'm not giving the treat because that would be rewarding for barking, although you could use that as passive training. He does that and it's called alert or protect, like we talked about off camera. But now that he has had more than 5 seconds of not barking, now I can give him the treat and I've redirected his attention away. Dogs can't sniff and bark at the same time. What was I talking about before that? Feeding. So after you eat something first, then call him over, give him permission to eat, and if he takes his first bite of food, say what the name of your favorite restaurant, your favorite dish, or whatever you want to say. It's his command word, 1-word command. And then once he walks away, pick up the bowl, dump any remaining food out, and put the bowl back down. So this way, the only time I get to eat is when my guardian gives me permission to eat, and I have to eat after her so that he sees you as having more authority. You have dominion over the food, which will help him have a little bit more respect for you. And now it makes eating much more important activity because the food is not waiting for me whenever I want to eat. It's there twice a day for a maximum of 3 minutes each time. So I better get my eating, because if I don't eat, man, there's no Burger King or refrigerator. She's not giving me any snacks until the next meal. And I had a dog that once went did not eat until breakfast of the 4th day. Mm-hmm. So do not cheat for your dog. You're giving the dog the opportunity to eat. If it doesn't want to eat, that's on the dog's tab, not on our tab. What do you say, buddy? You got any other questions? You have any other questions? Anything else we want to go over?
No.
All right. Well, this is Kenny, and you are very much a cutie. And this is Kenny's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.